Sloviansk certainly was an important victory for the Ukrainian army, but Donetsk, where the rebel fighters have now regrouped, is a much tougher challenge. Firstly, it's a much bigger population, nearly a million people, so that means more civilians in harm's way. And the rebels themselves have said, if we have to leave Donetsk, then we'll have to go to Mars. So clearly they're going to make a stand there. Strategically, it's very important. So the stakes are higher all round. Now, I've heard on Ukrainian media this morning that there is a plan by the Ukrainian army to retake Donetsk and Luhansk, which is another center of the insurgency and also a big population center. That plan is a total blockade of those two towns or cities, so storming them is seen as too risky. But of course a blockade means life getting worse for civilians, and I think Kiev will have to do some careful messaging here to say, look, we've liberated Sloviansk, now we're bringing back food, running water, electricity, we're paying pensions again, life is getting back to normal. In other words, listen, civilians, you're better off with us than you are with the rebels. I think that's probably going to be the message in the coming days.
Now, when the rebels lost Sloviansk, they turned to Russia for help. So why didn't Moscow come to their assistance?
For the Kremlin, I think the insurgents are seen as loose cannons. They're unpredictable, and that slow realization perhaps explains Moscow distancing itself, firstly from the May 11th referendums on self-rule. Then, of course, last month President Putin backed Kiev's unilateral ceasefire, and also he asked the Russian parliament to revoke his right to use military force in eastern Ukraine, in other words, to invade those eastern regions. These are all tactical maneuvers. It doesn't mean that the goal has changed. The goal is still to keep Ukraine fragile and kind of semi-sovereign within its borders, except for Crimea, of course. But the rebels aren't the only means through which that goal can be achieved. I think Russia is probably looking at other possible partners, such as the oligarchs in eastern Ukraine, regional governors, and other political actors who may be involved in a national dialogue with Kiev if President Poroshenko's peace plan makes headway.